Welcome to What Ha Happened, the podcast where we talk about our latest chismes,
or gossip for you non-Spanish speaking folks.
crazy travel stories, hood memoirs, and food and wine.
This is an adult podcast.
So some of our topics may make our listeners a wee bit uncomfortable.
Listener discretion is advised.
And if you're of legal drinking age,
Grab a glass of wine.
or a beverage of your choice, and enjoy the show.
So,
Hi, everyone.
hello everybody. This is Rich Mo.
And this is Lala, and today we have a very special guest with us.
Take it away.
Oh, my name's Oscar Taruno, and I'm happy to be here.
And we're happy to have you. And thank you so much for making time to come and record with us.
Thank you for having me.
So, where do we begin? Where do we begin?
Whoa. So
Who is this?
let's begin with the phone call you made to Rich. And then, okay, so this is a continuation on last episode that we had. So the reason Rich called me in the morning, woke my ass up to watch this fucking chingadera is because of this dude. So take it away.
All right. Well, before
Give us like your background and
all right,
and then tell us how it came about for you to call him at fucking 5 a.m. or whatever.
all right. I'm not a UFO specialist, but I guess anybody could be if they're just watching everything online that comes out. But in 1996 in Southgate, there was a party, and somebody was looking up, and we all ended up looking up, and we saw a triangle UFO, the one with the three lights, and we looked at it from above. And it was moving and rotating slowly. It was really high up, though. You could see it. Obviously, if you would take a picture back with the cell phone, 1996, the quality.
So it was 96.
Yeah, it was 96.
I was just going to ask you that. I'm like, what year was this?
yeah,
Like
and
it's 1996.
the year, actually, of the Phoenix Lights incident that happened. So that was the same year.
Oh, folks, we're getting deep into this
Whoa.
UFO theory.
I-
The Phoenix Light.
Yes.
Somebody, can you explain?
I don't know what that is. Yeah.
Can
I
you explain
honestly-
everybody?
Well, for those who don't know, and I know most people do know,
Except for me.
And me.
in 1996, it was one of the biggest UFO sightings ever. A lot of people saw it in Phoenix, Arizona. During, I think John McCain was the politician back there. It was. They got so many phone calls of. It was like a large amount of UFOs. A lot of them just
Sightings?
Yeah, a lot of sightings, but there were many of them. And
All in Arizona?
in Phoenix, Arizona, to be in more detailed. And you got to look it up. There's books about it, and unfortunately, the government didn't make any. It didn't take it seriously. What happened was there was a.
What happened was.
What
happened was?
there was actually a press conference that kind of looked like Dave Chappelle's press conference.
Oh my God.
exactly.
Yes.
They're like, so they said we.
the Bizzle. or
Yeah,
whatever.
it was exactly like that. Where a politician, I forgot who it was, but there was a politician in the press conference, and he says, "We found the alien," and then it was a guy shows up with a big head.
Oh, he walks out in the it was a joke. I remember this.
Yes,
he
thank
came
you.
out as a joke.
Yeah, and
like
everybody got pissed.
yeah, like they were trying to do a real press conference, and somebody decided to wear a costume as an alien and walk out.
Yeah, and
What?
Yes, I'm not even kidding. I
Wait,
remember that.
When did this happen? Okay, I'm fucking Googling.
that probably happened in
Arizona,
'96 too. Yeah, because they were addressing
1996.
they were addressing the Phoenix Lights incident. So, anyways, the day. Well, if you want to look it up.
I'm looking it
Okay.
up, but it's okay. You need to just continue.
So yeah, after
Don't
that,
mind me.
So after that day, I remember telling my friend Gus, and I remember telling Joey and everybody that was around me, don't forget what we saw, because I'm going to tell you, I'm going to ask about it 5 years from now. I'm going to ask you 10 years from now. Don't forget what you saw. And sure enough, every time I see one of my friends, we bring this up. But ever since that day, I didn't. I just stopped. I started looking up, and I never stopped looking up. So,
You're like the movie Don't Look Up,
but I am looking up.
but you are. You're like the opposite.
Yeah. So yeah, and sometimes you see some interesting things, and so obviously, sometimes you see some, and I remember like staring up and looking at a satellite just go whoa, from far up on my
Did you do that one
telescope.
more time?
Whoa.
Is that what the satellite said?
But unfortunately, I never got to see that again. So I'm always looking, and I'm always reading, and I'm always hunting, and always asking, and sometimes people send me pictures. A friend of mine sent me a picture of a guy in downtown LA, and it was really high up, where it looks like a guy was sitting down in something that was flying, and it was weird because it was shot in downtown LA, and there was so many people. And of course, I put it on Reddit. I go, "Hey, everybody, what do you think about this?" And once again, when you're shooting something that's on a cell phone that's way high up, it never looks good. So that day, for those who love to read and talk about UFOs, I'm on Reddit UFO, and they were showing the press conference live, and then right there, I went straight to YouTube because it was streaming live on YouTube, and it was a press conference at in Mexico about not only what they found, but kind of a precursor about sightings. I think it was cut in like 4 or 5 different chapters. First, they talked about sightings, and they had a couple of Americans making presentations.
They had people from all over the world, actually, from military retirees from different countries. So they had they had Brazil. They had you were just speaking French.
Yeah, they had the French.
Yeah.
They had the Japanese people.
Yeah.
So basically, like all the NASA of different countries literally were there. They had translators. So like this is what he's talking about, and so this is what.
Yeah. So as soon as I was watching that press conference, I started texting a lot of people that I talk about that. Joey, the guy who I was in Southgate with, and saw it. Richard.
Wait! I didn't get a text. I got a call. So I'm thinking right now, like he texted everybody else, but you called me.
Yeah, I did call.
This is really funny because I was like, oh shit. Oh,
so
shit.
what was going through your mind when you were calling and texting people? Like, what was it that you wanted to, like, what?
Well, first of all, I got excited, but then also after 1 or 2 texts, I was like, they're not gonna believe me, and they gotta think I'm this stupid, and and that crossed my mind. But at the same time, I texted a couple of people, and then I started watching it, and because it was so good, it was so detailed. They started out once again with the sightings, and then my favorite part was the chemical makeup of the dirt where they found the aliens, and how
Yes. Well, I love when people get very scientific.
Yeah.
And like literally they gave me all the carbon dating, like all that shit. And then not to like ruin it for people, but they have specimen samples and so it's just like I love when people get scientific. Like that's my jam.
So I woke up the next morning watching it again. It's like 3 hours, and I go, what did I miss? And then
Exactly.
I had Richard and I, we talk a lot about movies, and we talk about like actually some of his projects, and we talk about music videos, whatever. But that morning I go, hey man, did you see what happened? And I sent him the link, and and that's how it started.
And then that's when I called you. I
Actually,
don't know. I guess I was excited
You
enough.
call him,
Yeah.
and then he texts me, but like my phone is on silent until 9 o'clock in the morning.
Well, yeah, it should be.
So like, sorry. The only person that I have programmed to call me that can get through this silence is my son. So that nobody else. Sorry, guys. But anyway, I did receive that, and I was just like, what the fuck? And so when I woke up at 9 or whatever, I went to the link, and I literally started watching it because, like you said, it's like 3 or 4 hours long. It's like super long. And so I was like, okay, let me just play this as I'm like brushing my teeth, making breakfast, washing dishes. So for like 3 fucking hours, I fucking watched this shit.
Me too.
Yeah, and I was just like doing all this shit, and then they take this break. So they go on a break. They're like, okay, they're gonna take a break, and then they come back, and they're like, yeah, and we have something special for you guys, like blah blah blah. And they come back with 2 alien bodies, like actual alien bodies. And this is when the press went fucking insane. They totally were like, wow, like they wanted to take immediate photos, of course. And they said, look, just wait. We're going to finish the conference. And you guys, these are not going to go anywhere. You guys can come, you can approach it, you can take photos, anything you want to do. We have all the science to back it up. And so this is where everything, and I was just like, I'm already like hour and a half in, and I've been like doing all this shit, waking up, making my coffee, mushroom coffee. I don't drink coffee. But yeah. And so then they were like, yeah, we have these 2 alien bodies that are, and then they carbon dated them, and they're fucking ancient as fuck. And so I was just like, oh my God, like, is this real? And then I started to think the same thing. Like, is this like, are they making fun of something? Are they, is this real? Is this like a parody? Is this,
No.
And literally, like, this is in Congress in Mexico and many countries. They're basically their NSA and a lot of military people who fly planes, etc., are there. So this is like super legit. And anyway, and so in our last episode, I said, like, in the vast universe, how can we think that we're alone? Like, statistically speaking, it doesn't. And then, like, and we were talking about how people use statistics for like sports and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know why, but he told me it's for gambling, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense, I guess. I would have never thought to use statistics for gambling because I'm not a gambler. So I thought it was like useless. But if you take that information and then you put it into the universe, like, obviously we're gonna have other people, like, or other living creatures. It doesn't have to be humans. It doesn't, like, if you look at the underwater sea creatures, like the deep water sea creatures, they look like motherfucking aliens.
Yeah.
And so, like, wait,
Yeah.
obvio.
I think the octopus is the only. You read this, right? The octopus is the only alien DNA that cannot be traced to another animal, but everything else can be traced to another.
They have found other. So
they found other
yes.
species.
Okay, so
that
there
fall
is
into that category.
a thing called like red rain.
Okay.
And it happens when there's meteors, and so that it happened somewhere in Asia, and when they got samples, because people started thinking like, oh, like Bible chingaderas, as everybody does. But when they actually got samples of this fucking rain, it actually came from the meteor, and there was living organisms like amoeba style,
like microorganisms.
yes, but single-celled, like amoeba-like.
Yeah.
Inside this rain, and it's coming from the fucking meteor, and it was true because there is nothing on this fucking planet that it can be traced to, and it comes, and they found it that it came from this motherfucking meteor. So yes,
those are our ancestors.
That was Invasion. That was a plot of Invasion.
This is we are being rained on with fucking alien species already. So who knows where the fuck this amoeba like chingadera that caused red rain. But and so anyway, just statistically speaking, I just want to say, like, how do people not think that there's like
Yeah, it's kind of a weird time, and because now that the American government already kind of acknowledged it, it's kind of a weird time in history where we're looking at our history and we're like, man, we got some stuff wrong. As far as like when the first humans were here, and when they crossed from Africa to this place, and so everything is off and everything's changing. And we kind of had an idea that they were pretty much off, because when they start using the Bible, saying, AD, before Christ, and once you start measuring everything with the Bible, it kind of like I don't want to belittle the Bible, because
go ahead, you can. You're allowed to. No,
Yeah.
I will not be offended.
But you're not using science to actually as a form of measurement. You're using one particular religion as a source of measurement. So now you put that aside, and then everything else is now, everything. The possibilities are like, we don't know. We know a tiny fraction of something so complicated, so profound, that we're starting to get little bits of it. And another thing too is now when there's sightings, and then when there's these weird happenings, like where it's happening in Peru, and what's happening in what was the other place that's happening in the rainforests of Brazil. There's two incidents. One of them was debunked recently, but now that it's happening, it's like the information is being shared so fast that there's a lot of people that know, and it feeds into this machine of suspicion and people like me that are hungry for wanting to know. And in time we'll find out if it's true or not. For example, what happened in Peru, there was these aliens that were zapping a lot of the people, the local people in a small village, and what they found out. And this was going on for maybe a couple months already.
Zapping it?
Zapping was a kind of weird electricity, and then they found out. They said they were floating in the air, and anyways, to make
heard this.
yeah, but they debunked it. And what happened was there was a bunch of people who were trying to get the minerals from there, so they would use a lot of technology to scare the people. Just like yeah, so that was in.
Oh, they're illegal mining for minerals.
Thank you. Yeah.
Oh.
So that was in Peru, but in Brazil, there's something a little bit different that's going on in
The Amazons?
in the Amazons, yeah. So I'm not really keen on the information, the detail. But in time, once again, the information is out, and when it happens, for example, when the Peruvian, a lot of the local village people were attacked, a lot of the video came out on there, and it kind of looked scary. But they were probably getting, I don't know what they were being zapped with, but they were being manipulated. And their fears were being manipulated, and people like me who really think that this thing is happening, get sucked into it, and then we find out the truth within
I
time.
have a personal story, if I may, in regards to Peru. Well, I'm part Peruvian.
Mother, may I? You may.
There is a
Dale.
there. I heard stories as a kid growing up from my uncles and my mom, and it must have been a long time ago. Like, I'm thinking if they were born in the 40s, they're 50s or whatever. But in that time, there was a fear, because my mom lived in the mountains. They call these guys the pistacos. I don't know. I'm probably not saying it right. Anyway,
Pistachios?
not pistachio.
And not beef tacos, all right?
Woof.
Pistacos. And basically,
Pistachio tacos. Got it.
No, fish
something
tacos.
like there's a combination.
Fish tacos?
And by the way, it is nothing that you would actually eat. But
Okay, dale.
the reason I'm bringing it up is that you brought this story up of people zapping people, and because they were illegal mining for things.
Yeah.
Well, the pistacos they call them pistacos, and what they would do is basically disappear the indigenous people. They would, if you were out in certain areas, you would just be disappeared. They would take you. And the rumor was that they were harvesting humans for their oil, for machinery. Now, I know it sounds kind of nuts, but that's, and nobody knew who the pistacos were. There was like a group of people, but people were being, disappeared. And the rumor was that, nobody knew if they were alien, where they were from. That's just what they call them. Like, it's like the boogeyman. It's just like some unknown thing is going to try to take you, and this is what's going to happen. So there were rumors that they were taking people so they can harvest the oils they could only get from a human body. I know this sounds crazy.
No, that's cool.
But they were oils that you could only get from a human body to run like industrial machinery.
Like whaling back in the days.
Yes. Like there's only certain things that you would get from.
Oh, that is
It is terrible. And so I heard a story from my uncle that they were being chased by one, and they just picked up a rock and threw it and hurt that person or hurt whatever was chasing them.
And
they
then
thought they booked it.
wow.
But they were scared for their lives.
Yeah.
And it almost seems like the whole thing of being in that area, in the indigenous area, and you're zapping people with things that of the unknown. It's always the unknown. It's always like, I don't know what's chasing me, but people are disappearing. People are getting disappeared, and that's when the rumors start.
Yeah.
So speaking of the unknown, that is one thing that really, because I have questioned this myself. So when I was watching this press conference happening in Mexico, there is a lot of written in rocks from, ancient people that have drawn images on rocks like alien people, and I don't know if you've ever read the Popol Vuh. Is the Mayan like it's creation stories, kind of like the Bible or whatever.
Yeah.
But when you read all these, so I've tried to read different religions' creation stories.
Yeah.
Because I love them, because I feel like that is how people used to pass on what they think and to explain what their life was like in ancient times, you know. But they all have these beings that come from the sky.
Yeah.
And then when they were showing images of these 3-finger alien beings, and in each culture they have drawings of the same being. And then how do we have pyramids here that look like the pyramids, well, here in, you know, America?
Like down the street.
But, you know, I mean, here in America, that are similar to the ones in Egypt. And so I'm thinking, like, and all of them, they speak of and have images and imagery that it looks the same, and they all talk about it in their fucking books, chingaderas, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's, I'm like, how do people not make this correlation? But, like, that is too far-fetched, but they believe that there is this omnipotent person who fucking, you know, makes things good or bad, and there's angels. They can believe all that shenanigans, but aliens is way too far. And I'm like, no mames, güey.
And in some cases, some people think that they're the same thing, and some people think that the aliens are actually bad spirits that were been talked about for the longest time.
So why do they have to be bad?
Yeah, why do they have to be bad?
You know, I've been thinking about that a lot. I think about, you know, the different types of UFOs that have been seen, the triangle, the cigarette shape, the saucer. And I go, maybe there's some truth to it, but there's so many different types of sightings that maybe there's some different types of species of these
And also,
aliens.
I'm not sure how many of you guys are into like quantum physics, but if you are, there's different dimensions, there's wormholes, there's all these things that can happen. There's linear timelines there, you know, so like, you don't know, it could be some being from like the future that came back, and it could be even our own world future, and they created this loop, and so, you know, and it created this sighting, etc. And so it's just like, once you get into fucking that shit, which I am totally into.
And that's what we're doing here. We have bits of information, and we're trying to grasp at what we think it might be, and that's what we're doing right here today. But that's what we're left with, because there's so much secrecy, and there's so much, actually, the shame is gone. You know, before it's like, oh, you believe in that?
Yes. Well, after this fucking press conference, I literally, when they came out with the fucking alien bodies, and I was like, no mames, like, is this fucking for real? And then I was like, fuck. And then I actually like sat down and watched it, because, you know, meanwhile, I had been fucking washing dishes, I had my phone up propped, you know, and just watch, you know, as I'm doing other things. But this is when I actually sat down and paid attention and fucking watched it, and I was like, way neta. And then they bring out that they have carbon dating, and so for me, I'm like, and they, like you were saying, the earth around it, the sample soil that they got it, and I was just like, fuck, if you come to me with science, it's just like, oh, yes.
there's it's more grounded, you know.
Yes.
Yeah, I talked to somebody who's a devoted Catholic, and we were talking about this, and he said that, and I'm gonna look this up, that during the King James version of the Bible
Wait
is
a second, Rex, come here. I turn the air on for you, bud.
so the King James version Bible is where King James translated the Bible into, you know, another language, and he omitted a lot of stuff, and one of the stuff that he omitted was a description of a saucer And I'm gonna look into this, but that might be the case. I mean, if that's the case, and
Oh my god.
yeah,
Oh my god. Have you seen 30 Monedas on
No.
HBO?
no,
It's a show, and it's called 30 Coins. Okay, this came out a long time ago, but I just recently rewatched it, and it's kind of. I think you should watch it.
All right, all right.
It's totally fucking up your alley.
Yeah.
And it is something that I mentioned in the last episode, is that we have a knowledge that has been forgotten because of religion.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm thinking I was telling him, like, it could be this maybe alien technology. How were we able to make fucking these pyramids? Literally, he has it in his background.
yeah,
As you can see it, that is
yeah.
my photography. But, like, how did we have this knowledge? And then, like, today's medicine comes from the knowledge of using herbs and extracting their medicinal purposes. And so,
Yeah.
how is this science more advanced? That they are extracting it from ancient
Yeah.
cultures.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
That one is probably money. So
Well,
you have all these wonderful herbs.
yeah.
I kind of think and feel that there's probably a remedy for every ailment in an herbal setting, in an herbal.
But they got this knowledge from these ancient cultures
Yeah.
that supposedly we are far more advanced now.
Oh, yeah.
Dizque. But how did these ancient cultures create those fucking pyramids?
Yeah, that's
And they
another-
had, even with our supposedly more advanced technology, we cannot be able to replicate something like that.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm saying. So how far-fetched is it to think that this knowledge maybe came from alien beings?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, there's a way to talk about it. There's a movie that's really bad. It's Indiana Jones, the Crystal Skull.
Oh yeah,
Crystal
I saw that.
Yeah, I hate that fucking movie. But
Why?
In the movie, it kind of made me, this is me because I see everything in race. It's like, oh my god, these beautiful art and this beautiful. These people are too stupid to do this. Somebody else did it. But that's a conclusion I came because I was so defensive about the
Yes.
representation. This is another conversation, the representation of Latinos and
Yeah.
representation of a culture that was very advanced with their art and their architecture. And all of a sudden, in that movie, they're saying, "Yeah, don't
Yes,
give them any
they
credit."
anglicize
It's somebody-
it like, oh, they must have gotten it from Europeans because, of course, people from Latin America could not actually have this kind of knowledge. It must
Yeah.
have been European based.
Yeah.
No, I understand.
Yeah, or somewhere. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So that's like the wrong way of conversing about what we want to know about. But yeah, it just like watching these videos and talking to people just opens a possibility about we're taught all these things, but the world and everything else is so much more complicated. I used to work at LATV, and somebody wanted to do a show about. Now I'm going to another. I wanted to do a show about cleaning houses, and he was a house cleaner. He this is an older gentleman, and he was a priest, a Wicca priest, which is like
A witch.
a witch and a priest. And what he would do is he would clean houses.
Wicca, like European.
I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
A
Wicca.
santero, if we
No.
would say it in Spanish. But
Well,
Kinda
no.
like a
So
shaman?
they're similar, but it's different religions. So these are like old school religions, and Wiccans come from Europe, like Nordic area.
So he was
Yeah.
doing limpia. Not he was
Yes.
actually cleaning like the garbage or anything. He was doing limpiezas like.
So he was
bad
showing me
energy.
videos about orbs and about people and what he specializes in, and he had video proof. And I sat down and saw it, and I was like, man, this would make a great show. I know. Unfortunately, I was working at a station where we do music and movies, and it was like LATV, and it was like it wasn't really. It was more like a MTV for.
So
Latino.
what did you see?
I saw him chanting by a pool, and then all of a sudden he took one picture and there was one orb, and then after the chant there was many orbs, like balls of light. And then he showed me this place called Calico Ghost Town in San Bernardino, and he was somebody was doing witchcraft there, and he was there to break the spell, and he had the camera, and he had. What happened is there's a little girl there that lives there, in the ghost town. There's also another man that lives there. The man is protecting the gold that's there, supposedly. This guy tells me everything. And so when on the video, he showed me there was some kind of like a wooden cross and a circle and all this stuff, and he poured like salt and some other stuff. And then actually now, and right now when I'm telling you the story, his name just came up to in my mind. When he poured it to kill the spell, you hear Bill. And then you look around, there's nobody there because it's like a ghost town. It's like empty, you know? And he showed me a lot of these videos. And when I went home, I was kind of happy, more than scared. At first I was scared, but I was happy because I know that after watching that video, well, there was another wonderful story he had about sending people back to the light. And a lot of these people don't want to go to the light when they're dead. And that's why they hang around, right? For whatever reason. Actually, there's a wonderful story. Well, I guess we'll get to that on the next show when we talk about the supernatural. But
there you go, folks.
Yeah.
We're gonna continue this. This is gonna be like an ongoing thing.
maybe.
So
But when I got
he
home,
became the third person in our podcast.
when I got home, I was like, man, there is something after death. And it's kind of, and it made me excited and made me believe in God more, and it made me believe in being a better person. So, but what is, that's what the supernatural does. But what the UFO kind of does is just kind of scrambles your brain and say, there's something really more complicated. And how do I fit
Something more complicated than God, for sure. Like, because
Well, no, this is just to say that this is probably the God that people were talking about is just fucking aliens. You know what I mean? Like,
just other beings.
how?
and-
Why? When these ancient cultures write about their creation stories, all of their mythical creatures come from the sky, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So these are all their gods. For example, like I've studied a lot of Mayan culture gods and real Mexican gods, basically. But also Native Americans in United States have multiple gods. And then they also have, like they were showing in that thing,
Yeah.
that they all literally coincide.
Are you talking about Mexican gods or Aztec and Inca and even before that, which is
All of them.
Yeah.
Yes, all of the Americas. Because we had cultures prior to the Europeans, who are the first immigrants, by the way, just to clarify.
Just so.
Not
just-
me and my people, is Europeans are the first immigrants. So, yeah, guys, stop kicking me out of my country. Anyway, yes. So, but they all have like drawings and in their writing of creatures that come from the sky. How is this different from the Christian? Yeah, with the Bible. And this guy, God came from the sky. He comes from the sky too. The fucker.
But we shouldn't be telling events, so that's a good example right there. All of a sudden, this Christian man comes on a horse to the Aztec Empire. He's riding a horse, and they don't know. They've never seen a horse before, so they think he's attached. So they think he's some kind of god. So why are we kind of, also with UFOs, these are advanced civilizations, but we shouldn't crown them gods yet.
Oh my god. Okay. So I was reading a book by Kaku. It's a Japanese scientist. He's a quantum physics. So it's about, and he said, and this is a perfect example, which I think it goes precisely to what you just said. It said, if you look at a pond with koi fish, the koi fish, when they see you and you put your hand in, they think it's another being from another dimension because they can only see the dimension of the water that they live in. So when I put my hand inside of the pond, then they're like, oh shit, there is this being that comes from a different dimension.
Yeah.
Because they only see the dimension that they live in. So what if we are in a dimension? His name is Mikio. Sorry, I couldn't remember.
No, it's
his
a
first
wonderful.
name. Mikio
that's what-
Kaku, and dude, his book is fucking amazing. I bought it when I was in Guadalajara, and they had a book festival.
Yeah, that's a
And-
wonderful notion.
Dude,
Yeah.
but he explained it like this. So he's explaining different like locations that we live in life, like
Yeah.
there's different levels, so you can be on the 2 level, and then there's 4, and then there's 6, and there's 10 dimensional. There's different dimensions, but because we are in a dimension, like let's say we're in the 4th dimension.
Mm-hmm.
We can only see 4th dimension and below. We cannot see above. You have to be in the above, and this is what he talks about in his book, is like these different dimensions. And so beautifully he explained it is like the koi fish in the pond.
We're like koi fish in a pond.
So we are koi fish in a pond that we cannot understand or see or understand these other dimensions that other people can be reaching out to us, putting their hand in our fucking koi ponds of humans, but we see it as, so
yeah.
And
There's one more story that comes to mind because we don't know if they're supernatural ghosts, demons, or aliens, or people from another dimension. Here's a really good example. There's this one friend of mine. She's an actress, and she had a problem at 3:00 in the morning. Something was staring at her in the corner of her room, and she would always wake up and feel a presence there. And then one day she was tired, and she put her back towards that corner wall, and she's trying to sleep, and then she felt the bed go down, and then she opened her eyes, and she felt whatever presence was right there. Yeah, and this was going on for a while, that she started to lose sleep, and she started like messing up at work. So she called a spiritualist to go to her house and to clean the house. And this is a story. Oh my God! I'm telling you the story that I heard about maybe 8 to 10 years ago. The spiritualist went in the house and yelled, "You are not welcome here. I am going to tell somebody." She said, "I'm going to tell on you that you are not here and you are trespassing." And almost like she was acknowledging that there's like a group of people that are protecting us from another dimension to come down here and do stuff like that's the way she was chanting.
So spiritual like bouncers.
No, I mean, it's
really
like,
strange.
Yo, I got bodyguards, motherfucker.
So she's yelling at this thing, right? And she's yelling it in that way with like, you are not allowed to be here, and we will continue to find out who that we will tell on you, and you must leave now and never come back. So after chanting and walking around the room saying that, and not verbatim from what I say, but something similar to what I said, after that she never had a problem again. So I believed her. It's a true story, but is it demons or another dimension? Is it something more complicated?
Oh my God.
This is the spirits that did not
and honestly, this is something that I have, because like I said, when I started to reading into quantum physics, then you start to marry basically the supernatural things with mathematics, and it makes fucking sense, and you can literally explain everything with mathematics. Literally. And so in the books that I read, they actually have the formulas, and I'm not a calculus expert, but I literally sit there and work it out to make sure that it crosses, because I'm like, okay, and I actually sit there because they have it in the footnotes, all the math, like here, and then you go to footnote number chingadera, whatever. And I literally sit there and work out the mathematics, because I'm like, I want to come to the same conclusion, because this is I am very much about verifying information, verifying facts, and and so I literally, after reading that book by Mikio Kaku, oh my God, I can't even remember what the book name is. I'll have to look it up.
Okay.
But
they say that we are living in a simulation, and there's mathematical evidence that we are living in the simulation.
What isn't there like
is there evidence?
Yeah.
There's like a mathematical formula that
Yes.
everything is derived by, like
Yes.
for IRS, for every I forget what I saw. Maybe it was on Vice or something, but there's an equation that a lot of like Fortune 500 companies use to base their statistics.
I just realized that I don't know what the title is in English, because I bought it in Spanish. So
Put it in Spanish. Then,
let me look. Okay, Mikio Kaku, and then put libros instead of books. I was like, So I bought it in Spanish. Sorry.
So we say spiritualist, but like what in the neighborhood, in the Latino neighborhood, we have like santeros and fucking
Yeah.
Yeah. And
What
so
else? What else?
Literally, it marries shamanism. So there's another book that I read by another author that is also like quantum. It marries quantum physics, shamanism, and psychology. Woof. That is a fucking. Oh my god.
Trifecta.
Yes, but it makes complete fucking sense. It makes complete sense. So shamanism, so you're being in the spiritual world, psychology, you know, because people have mental issues. I mean, supposedly, you know, the dude that heard voices and shit, he could have had fucking schizophrenia, you know, in the Bible.
Yeah,
you know,
true.
and
if
then
if you marry all that together, like,
Yes.
why were you hearing voices in your head?
like because he's schizophrenic, not because he is
talking to God.
Yeah, exactly. Like today, when people say, like, literally, we see homeless people that, you know, have mental issues, and they're literally talking to God or whoever they're fucking talking to. They're literally talking to nobody in front of us. But in our culture now, that is not acceptable. But in the culture back then, that was like, oh my God, that's a prophet. You know? So, like, why? Are we just following the tracks of people with mental disorders? And then we created fucking these stories, and then now we're following. And I mean, this could explain why we have all these motherfucking wars, because it's just fucking mental disorders. We're following a book with that literally says that it's okay to have these fucking mental disorders, and then you can just say it's by God, and then it rectifies the wrong things you do, you know?
Yeah, there was this another ghost story where the guy who was cleaning the house, Bill, was telling me that children with autism or Asperger's syndrome or mild forms of autism have the ability to see and play and talk to spirits at a young age. And there was one case in Texas where this boy kept the mother was very concerned because a lot of things were happening in the house, and she had a young boy who. So then when Bill contacted the spirit, he was able to see it actually, and he said it was like hunched over to the right. And he was telling the spirit, look, you got to leave this house and you got to leave these people alone. And then he started communicating with the spirit. The spirit was like, it's a child that's bothering me. I've been here for a long time. And then he started talking to us like, well, what happened? And to make a long story short, it was a Native American who drank a lot. And what happened was he got beat up and he got hung. And that's why he's hunched like that. So then Bill said, hey, look, your family, your mom and dad, they're waiting for you at the light. And the spirit said, no, I don't have a mom and dad. And I never had anybody growing up. He didn't trust anybody. And that's why he would drink, because he would be by himself.
Oh my God. Is
And
he
then-
me? What the fuck?
So to make a detailed story short, he
late.
finally convinced me. He goes, look, go to the light and go to your family. If you do not like going there and you don't like the people there, come back. And so he said when he did that, he saw him one more time and he saw the figure. And then after that, he never saw the figure again. But and I was thinking, like these house cleaners. I mean, let's just.
I like how you didn't like the term the house cleaners.
I know.
But is it a house? I mean,
Yeah.
like shaman. I mean, what are the other names that we have for like?
Well,
is it
the
shaman?
futuristic
Yeah.
shaman considered is basically psychology now. You know, like a supposedly more advanced. And I just found the book. Well, finally.
Yeah.
So let me just put it. Well, ¿dónde lo puse?
So yeah, it brings up another question about these spirits that are
Universos paralelos. Parallel universes.
for.
Mikio Kaku.
But lelos, what does the lelos mean?
Paralelos. Parallel.
Oh,
You're like, what are lelos?
I know,
That
'cause
doesn't sound right.
No, 'cause
Lelos.
it says like
No
you know,
son
I thought it was-
lelos, no son lalas, they're
I thought it
paralelos.
was like arithmetic for dummies, Paralelos. Hey man, parapsychology for lelos. Oh my god! I know.
No, but that's the name of the book for Mikio Kaku that talks about these different universes, like parallel,
Yeah.
paralelos.
Paralelos.
No,
Paralelos.
paralelos.
Oh,
para-
Well, am I-
Paralalos.
well,
oh.
oops, sorry, guys. Ladina is calling me.
Hello, Ladina. Well, you want to take that?
Oh my God,
You wanna take a
yes.
quick
Can I
second?
take it?
All right, we're gonna take a quick second break, and then we'll get back to you guys. So
Sorry, guys. Welcome back to our second half of whatever the fuck it is that we're doing. Talking
Wow.
about aliens and, you know,
We just took a short break.
yeah, which is at some future, it'll be breaks for us to have our sponsors, which we don't have yet, but yeah. Anywho, continue, Oscar. Take it away, Johnny Canales.
Where did we leave off? I mean, I think last time.
We went from house cleaning to
Well, yeah, you call it house cleaning, but what is it really? House clean. When he was saying house clean, spiritual cleaners. So in popular TV and culture, you would find that as The Exorcist, the priest coming to exorcise or get rid of a bad spirit. Or I don't know if one of my favorite movies is Constantine.
Oh my
With
God,
Keanu Reeves,
yes!
that's
I
one of
fucking
my-
love that movie so much.
what was he
I literally
doing?
just watched it recently.
was-
I'm doing a review of all these.
Oh my stars! He was
Halloween
doing
movies.
exactly what we were just talking about. He was sending spirits back to where they needed to go, and so, I mean, even they have like this, the Santeras, which is voodoo, in the area. Well, I grew up with there was a lot of Cubans in my area where I grew up, and so that was really prevalent. You had a lot of Santeria.
Yes, I grew up with a lot of Puerto Ricans.
Oh, yeah.
And so I grew up with Santeria too
Santeria,
as well.
yeah.
And so to me, that's why I don't think that, because they were like how they did rituals, I saw the results like myself. So
Yeah.
it's hard for me to deny that does not work or that is debunked or whatever, because I am very scientific. Like I just said, I grew up in a very science forward family. Like we don't believe in religion and stuff. But after when I immigrated to the United States, then I grew up with a lot of Puerto Ricans, and that's where I learned Santeria, and I experienced myself, I was doing a lot of, helping with the mixtures of the
Herbs.
potions.
Yeah.
Exactly. The herbs. So because I was a little kid, they made me like, oh, here, you boil this, while we get, the candles and the pictures.
you boil the left bat wing and the.
Well, it's just
I know there are herbs.
really, it's just herbs. It's really just herbs. But and then I saw how it really would make a difference, and I myself like do cleansings for myself, in the bathtub, and I add herbs and to get rid of like negative energies. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And so, how is it that I'm able to be coming from this scientific mind? Like I literally went to school for psychology and then veterinary technician, and and so a lot of the sciences, but also I have this other background where I grew up with a lot of these Santeria people.
No,
And so-
I love it because she studied psychology and veterinarian technician. So my dog's depressed. You can help him. And my parrot drinks a lot.
Dude, they actually have like
Antidepressants for
CBD,
animals. Yeah.
CBD for dogs.
I understand when they have pain, like when they have
This
cancer.
dog,
And yeah, I understand
My
that.
dog.
Yeah, I used to take care of German Shepherds.
Yeah.
And when they got older, because they get a lot of hip dysplasia, German
Yeah.
Shepherds, and so they didn't have, literally, like they couldn't walk up the stairs anymore.
Yeah.
They would shit their pants like themselves, you know, like they, you know, and it's
Yeah.
just like. But I was the pet sitter, so
Uh-huh.
I had to just
Yeah.
My dog just
Deal with
sleeps a lot more than he usually
see. Pero you be lucky that he is not able.
everybody-
that he
all
does
the
not
vets
have
that
hip
see him,
dysplasia.
does. Say, oh, he's got wonderful hips.
Yes.
Oh my God. Like,
yes,
what's wrong?
because it's very prevalent in German Shepherds, and so like I had to take care of. You know, I used to pet sit, and until these two wonderful, beautiful dogs died, I was their pet
Yeah.
sitter.
He doesn't have that. But
Rest in peace, Kami Sami.
he's got other issues with his kidneys. But
Yeah, there was an article that I wanted to read, but unfortunately I didn't save it. And it says that that we have limited vision and we have limited hearing.
Yeah. Yep.
And you know, obviously, and dogs have a lot better hearing and
Yes.
other animals.
And
there's
smell
and
too.
smell.
They can smell if you're gonna have
Yes.
like a attack of ¿cómo se dice when you need insulin?
epilepsy or
Insulin.
diabetes.
diabetes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things that we don't see, and who knows what those things are, or what it is that we don't
like
see.
I said, it was a perfect description by Mikio Kaku of the dimensions. Like we are the koi fish in the pond. We could only see the dimension that we're in, which is the koi pond. And then there is another being. For
Yes.
humans can literally reach into the koi pond and then they look at it like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
They don't know it's a hand, just like blah, 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 it's a human. So we can also be in the same exact,
We are koi fish.
we are koi,
We are koi.
in a pond.
Yeah, you gotta make some ceviche with koi fish.
Well, I gotta say, like, you know, there are things that, like, if you're surprised and you're not expecting it, like one time I saw a stealth bomber over the Dodger Stadium because it was going to do a flyover, but I didn't expect it. I didn't know what I was looking at. There was this just giant ship. It looked like if it was just hovering over a thing, and then it took off. But for those few seconds of just like, what is that? I was like in shock. You
Yeah.
know? But you know,
Yeah.
to me that was alien.
Your
To
brain-
me
yeah.
that was a UFO. My brain couldn't
Wasn't
comprehend
registered, yeah.
what I was looking at.
Yeah. And maybe
know?
that's what's happening is that they're giving us information little by little, because if they gave it to us all at once, we would be like the Mayans looking at a man attached to an animal, you know? So,
Yeah, I gotta say, like going back to Monsters of California, the Tom DeLonge movie that I worked on. Whoa! You know,
Little plug-in.
little plug-in for a movie I helped on. It opened last week, but you know, there's a scene in the movie where because we're talking about like Santeras and you know the house cleaners, what Oscar was explaining, and the words have intent. Like, so in the movie they talk about how words have meaning and intent. If you have intentions in the words that you pronounce and say, you kind of like manifest and it
Yup.
goes out into the world, you know. And
That's basically what Santeria is.
it's more
Is
like
you're
energy.
manifesting
Yes.
the
Yeah.
words you say coupled with herbs and
Yeah.
teas or whatever.
Is it the words or the way you say the words? Because
No.
we made a.
What's
I mean,
the
It's the
intention?
words. It's your
words.
fuck doesn't
So,
mean anything in
is-
Spanish
is,
or in
is your
German.
you have your, like he said, is your intention.
intention.
Yeah.
So you have to put forward the energy of the words you are saying.
Yeah.
So for example, I say, I want a beer. Like I think of the beer, I want a beer, I cannot taste it, I can see the bubbles, I can feel the bubbles in my mouth. That is intent. And that is how you manifest. And that's how Santeria works, basically.
Like the book, The Secret.
Well, yeah. And
Yeah.
that motherfucker stole that shit. Like,
Yeah.
whoa.
Yeah.
Well, I don't
Yeah.
know, and
You say it
and-
out loud and it'll come true. you know?
Well, it's just much like, when people say, religious people from all walks of life. I'm not pointing any one religion out, but when they pray,
Yes,
and
it's
it's
the same
intention.
thing.
It's like
the
good, manifest good thoughts.
Exactly, it is the same thing, which is why I say, like all religions are the same. I don't understand why they fight, because the concept, the gods are all the fucking same. I have read so many different creation stories of very many different cultures, and literally each one has the same fucking god. It has a different name, but the purpose of the god is the same in all the fucking religions. you know. And so that then why are we having these fights if of religion where is the same fucking concept?
Wow, that's a loaded question.
We're fighting over football teams, so you know we're gonna find a reason to fight. You know what I'm saying? We're fighting over
yeah, the
shopping.
soccer teams.
Yeah.
Oh wait, soccer or football?
Both.
American.
We're fighting. We're fighting for anything. But you know what? You're right though, because even the fighting and the anger and all that stuff. You're right. It's coming from I would talk to Richard about my anger issues, and it's all about channeling.
Welcome to the club, honey.
Oh my God, there are 3 angry people here, folks.
Yes.
We're angry
Y'all
all
have
the
heard
time.
me rant and rave about my anger issues. Mostly has to do with women issues, but
Yeah. Mine has to do with upbringing and fighting and bullies and all that stuff. But the thing about it is, at the end of the day, it all has to do with energy. And now that I have kids, I'm trying to focus that energy because, and then I read somewhere that, the angrier the world is, the more negative energy it brings. And then
Yes.
the more,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yes.
And then the more
you
repercussions.
attract the energy you put out.
Yeah,
basically.
But also they have repercussions for that negative energy coming out and accumulating.
Yes.
It's just like
Yes.
it comes to head.
You're a conduit of
Yeah.
the fucking negative, and
Yeah.
trust me.
And then things happen.
So, the people that have spoken to about my life, they're like, "How is it that you're still, alive or whatever?" But because I always had this very positive thinking, okay, and yes, a lot of tragic things happened to me, but also simultaneously, all these fucking great opportunities showed up because of these tragedies. I became a U.S. citizen because I was a neglected child and I went into foster care and, thank you, California, for adopting me and making me a ward of the court and then getting me some green cards. Thank you so much. But, so this is what I'm talking about. And like, I think there's some people, for example, my son's father, he attracts negative, like everything goes negative for him. Where we come from the same type of situation where I thrive and I had all these, yes, tragic things happen, but also I had, oh my God, somebody sponsored to pay for my college because I was illegal immigrant. And so I needed somebody to pay for me to go to school. And somebody did. Like I had sponsors, I had this, I had that, people helping me. Where for him, it went completely the opposite.
Yeah.
Like all negative. To this day, he still deals. And I told him, like, wait, somebody did some sort of negative thing to you, and it wasn't me. But like, and I've tried. So I gave him, I cleaned a quartz for him, se lo di, and he was fine. When the day he gave it back, he's like, "Oh, I'm doing good." He gave it back to me. He got arrested again that same day.
Yeah.
And so, but I think he attracts that negativity, is how you were saying.
Yes.
Like some people have this type of
But he has it because he lives it. He wakes up with it, and he goes to sleep with it. He eats with it. And the funny thing is that it's karma,
yes.
and it's also in the Bible, God helps those who help themselves.
Yeah.
So and I think I got to find the Islamic version of
The
also.
equivalent of it.
Yeah, but everybody talks about that.
I gotta say that I found something out today on the show that Lala's practicing Santera. And if you need something cleansed, please.
No. Like, not. I mean,
Hey, can you help the Raiders win?
hey, wait.
Well, you know, Richard, you go to a party and you don't want to go, and you're like this and all that. You're gonna. How's that?
How's that vibe gonna be?
Yeah, how's it gonna end?
How are people gonna look at you?
How does it end?
How does it end?
Yeah.
Not in a good way.
Okay, how does it? We
Walking
know how
out.
it ends. They're gonna end with a fight, but what do you miss out on? You miss out on your friend, a girlfriend, catching up with somebody that you.
Is that what I look like when I go out to parties?
No. No,
Whoa.
I'm just saying. Is
that what I look like?
No. I'm just saying because we've been.
That's what you look like at the last recording.
My stars.
Yeah, but that's when we have that defensive shield and stuff, and we're inviting.
Oh,
We're just inviting
actually, yeah,
everybody.
body postures is
Yeah,
a
it's-
very
it's part of
big
it.
thing.
Yeah, it's part of the energy. Yeah, the words you use, the way you treat people, the way you wake up in the morning, even the way you eat. You know, it all manifests into energy.
It does. And
The day I see some guy walking, smiling, hey, how you doing? And there with his family and everything's really good. It's like, I'm from the X religion. I'm like, wow, I got to sign up for that. You know?
Bro,
But it doesn't happen.
we were talking about it, and I said, "Look, bro,
Right?
can I start my own religion? Because you can be fucking
What is it? You get your
tax
tax
free.
Oh, yeah, non-exempt
Tax-free.
tax.
So I was like, let's start Lala-isms. Lala-isms
Yeah.
religion. Can I be tax free? And literally, all I have to do is start a fucking religion
Yeah.
that makes no motherfucking sense, like any other religion
Yeah.
that we have.
Yeah.
And like, bro, and then I can be tax exempt. Like,
Yeah.
dude, what the fuck?
There's a show I wanted him to watch, and it's on Netflix, and it's also on Prime, and it's
Oh,
called
that's right.
and it's called The Chosen One, and it's about Jesus and his disciples. But what makes it so wonderful, the show, is that you're hearing these words of Jesus, and you're like, wow, that's a cool concept. Like you've never heard it before. You know why? Because we haven't heard it before. The Christians aren't talking about it, and the Catholics aren't talking about it. You know.
Right.
So if you have a chance to see The Chosen One, it's just such a wonderful, like, oh man, Jesus.
Okay.
You look
Shameless
at Jesus, and you're like,
When you
wow.
said that, once again, I go back to Las 30 Monedas.
Okay.
So it's
wow.
HBO Europe. HBO Europe, but
Oh,
it's
I don't
still
know
on
that. They
HBO.
don't have that,
Está en
do they?
español. No.
Do they
It's,
still have HBO Español? No, they took it out.
no, wait.
No, but it's
on
probably on HBO.
Okay,
It's
all
probably
right.
classic.
But it's
on
called
archive.
HBO Europe because
Alright.
son españoletes, so they hablan así.
Dilo, vosotros.
Sí, vosotros. They got their lisps.
Wait,
But
so those are two things we got to watch. 30 Monedas and what is this?
Wait.
Jesus thing?
The Chosen One.
The Chosen
It's
One.
so
and what is the chosen
wonderful.
one on?
Actually, it's on Prime, all 3 seasons, and then.
Oof. Okay, I got.
Did you just say 3 seasons?
Well, you know what?
Puta.
Honestly, they
That's
go
a
back.
lot of shows.
It's just like I said, I had religion kind of drilled into me, and I hated it. But
You did? How
Yeah.
was that like? Please.
well, I had to go to
explain it me.
you had to go to catechism. You had to go.
What
to,
is that like?
Catholic school?
Honestly, what I did is I would wear my Black Sabbath shirt and my Ozzy Osbourne shirt and my Iron Maiden.
Wait, how old were you?
I was like 9, 10, 11, 12, you know, going to catechism for both First Communion, confirmation, and all that stuff. And then my parents would make me go to church on Sunday, but I hated it because, you know, it's in Spanish and I zone out. I've probably been to church like 1,000 times. I can't tell you one sermon that I went to. Oh, you know, maybe I could. Oh, one sermon where the priest would have all the kids sit up on the altar during, I think, Easter. But the thing about it is that organized religion wasn't really never really spoke to me.
Yes,
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah. But now that I'm older and I'm hearing that the word of Jesus and I'm kind of like looking
The chosen one.
Like I said, God helps those who help themselves. It's the energy, you know. It's the karma. All right.
Well, going back to Catholicism here, now that when she says like you're not a god or you worship a god or what have you in Catholicism, right? Isn't there a passage you're saying or something in the Bible saying that we are created in God's image? So if we are created in God's image, according to those words or those scriptures, we're like walking God. So why not worship myself?
Maybe
I mean,
because
it's like, you know what else is in the Bible? May I say, it's like, you know, your body is your temple,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And if your body is your temple, what this is like for me, it's like a fetish of mine. It's like I like when I see women, I'm like, the first thing I look at is their feet. You know, I take care of their feet.
Yeah.
Because I know if they take care of their feet, they take care of their temple.
No, mames.
You know, yeah, no, that's a weird thing. But
That is
I'm going.
weird.
No,
Bro, you
it's-
got some foot fetish.
No, it's not so
weird
much about a
shit.
foot fetish.
Bruh.
It's that mentality of coming back from those things, of those words that I remember. Yeah, like
What does your
Did you
feet have
forget-
to do with your fucking temple?
that's the best. That's the base
you-
of your temple. That's the base.
Did you forget thou shalt not have any gods before me?
God's
kinda-
God's
you?
before me,
Yeah.
other than my own splitting
Oh,
image of God.
But that's only
No,
if
no,
you
no,
are
but
of
that-
that religion. So
Yes.
I am
No,
of
no,
the
yeah.
multiple
I'm addressing his.
deity.
No, I'm addressing
Oh.
what he is.
Yeah, no,
Oh, vale,
yeah.
vale.
What I'm saying,
Look,
if well, I'm just
will agree
making.
to disagree.
Here's the thing.
Oh.
I'm making
Here's a
it
passage,
because what she's talking about is like Buddhism and other things.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to make is a correlation because on the Catholic side, you're saying, you're created in God's image.
So the
So
connection
there's
between
a connection of worshiping
yourself, Got
and
it,
taking care of
got
yourself,
it.
taking care of your own temple.
But then he also came up with the rebuttal of what was it?
the,
you
the,
said?
shall not
the
have-
Moses, thou
yeah.
should love the commandments.
Is that where it's from?
Yeah, that's
Thou shalt not have an God
Yeah.
before me. Yeah. So
Is that a
Yeah.
commandment?
Well, they're commandments.
yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
know what the
Honestly, like
commandments
I honestly don't.
You know what was the burning bush? Was it an alien coming down to who was that? Moses?
Wait,
Moses?
that bitch
Like the
was
burning
on
bush, or was
fucking-
he eating
He
mushrooms?
was on acid.
Yeah, we were
that
talking about this.
motherfucker. Yes.
Was he eating mushrooms?
Literally, we were thinking because they used to drink meat, and so a lot of the times this meat can be if you didn't store it correctly, it can cause you to have hallucinations. So, was it just mushroom meat, that he was drinking, and then he saw bush, he saw all this shit. Somebody was talking, like, how different is this? Have you been on mushrooms before?
No.
Have
Oh.
you done acid?
Yes.
Okay, so you understand the mentality of acid.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
vale.
a train
So,
that you can't get off until
exactly.
until the train says get off.
Exactly.
I don't want to knock on any religion or anything. I mean, I'm just kind of like looking at similarities because, hey, should I say it again? Going back to Monsters of California, they kind of make a tie-in, and just like what we were talking about as a whole, where you were saying, where Lala was saying, it's like you look at all the cultures and things like that. There are a lot of similarities with aliens and scriptures and pictographs and written word in pictures, and different cultures have very similar things. Like the Indians, like chariots, the gods are on chariots and they're flying over the sky.
Yes.
Just different things. I mean,
Exactly.
there's so many things that kind of cite all the similarities, and I forgot where I was going. But I was just making the
correlation.
point, the correlation with all this.
And how we were talking about how they were presenting all this information at the Mexican,
Consulate or Mexican
Congress.
Congress.
Mexican. Let's kind of think about that for a second. This is a government. It's not like a government in a country you've never heard of, but this is a government of people that are actually putting information out for the people because the people have questions. Now, how many governments actually do that?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the reason, like how United States government has a platform where you can come in and speak your whatever the fuck you want to say. This is basically Mexico has exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
But they don't allow in the United States to talk about this stuff.
Agree.
And so for Mexico, and this is actually the first platform in the entire world
Yeah.
to happen.
Yeah.
And so for me, what I was saying in our last recording was that I felt so proud that our country, Mexico, my
Yeah.
country, is so forward in like, okay. And the government says, look, we have had so many people come to us and this is what they want to talk about. So we're going to give them a platform.
Yeah.
And they didn't side with it. They didn't discredit it. They just said, we are going to give you a platform because it has been brought up to our attention. And so then us as a government, we need to bring it up because of the amount of people that have come up to us to talk about it.
Yeah, it's
and this
supposed
is
to
how government should work.
It's supposed to work.
It's supposed to work.
Yeah.
And then for the United States to call my country the world, but we are the first ones to give a platform for people who want to discuss this, who are passionate about this, who have literally lived through this. Like you said, you have lived through this. Like, who am I to call you crazy? No, of course not. No. Pero tú sabes, like it's just it's just so forward thinking and to think that people think that we are third world.
Yeah.
Like No mames.
Yeah, you see, once again, we started talking about Phoenix Lights, and then after that, how they were ridiculed by our own government
Yes.
in Arizona.
Which they know happens.
Yeah, and the thing about it is that the UAP disclosure program that is in Congress was very critical about Mexico releasing that, and then the next day too, for the next 3 days, online everywhere were attacking the information about how it was a hoax, because there was a similar alien about 3 months before that was made out of different animal parts, llamas and stuff. And they're trying to debunk this one, even though it just came out and they didn't even look for the information. And at the end of the day, it's still holding up. But yeah, you're right. Congress is supposed to work that way. That when something happens and the people want to address it, they should address it. Actually, that's the way democracy is supposed to work.
That's supposed to
And
be.
it's not working that way.
But we are then still called third world.
Yeah.
We apparently live with horses and cows.
Yeah.
We don't have education.
They're better than some of my neighbors.
Yeah. No, but I grew up in the city, so I'm like, I didn't even see cows.
I wish a cow was my neighbor.
You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? But and so the reason, and when I saw this, and literally I fucking zoned in when they had, the alien specimens. Literally, they had alien specimens at the Congress meeting, and this is where the fucking media blew up, and they were like arguing, like, "Oh, are you gonna let us see this?" Because in Mexico, it is very known that the media can also be dead if you don't publish things that the government wants you to publish. So that's why there was a media outrage, like, "Are you gonna let us see this?" And then they said, "Let's finish this topic, and then you guys will all have the access to. You can come up, you can come take photos, etc." And I was so surprised that I didn't see any photos of any of the media.
Yeah, well, mainstream media here, but
yes, exactly, in the United States.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is worldwide. This is not something that just happened in Mexico. It happened in Mexico, but there was other countries, Chile, Brazil,
Peru.
Was it Peru?
Where
Okay.
they found it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Peru is where they
and then
found
also
it.
they sent some of the DNA to other countries.
Yes.
To look at.
And so France, Japan, United States government, ex-government people,
ex-government officials were there.
And so, like, this is not something that you can discredit. Like, why are these other countries coming with their own information, and they literally give you all the facts, all the video, actually video recordings, audio recordings, everything. So this is
even the scan. They scanned the aliens, and we saw one of them had a metal plate on his chest with some minerals that are used for satellite or something like that.
Yes.
And then the other one,
God,
and then the other one had 3 eggs.
About that.
The other one had 3 eggs. One of the scientists said point blank, "You have the right to be suspicious, and you have the right to debunk this, but first you have to look at the evidence before you do." He specifically said that.
Yes.
I know. I got excited.
I'm all about the fucking evidence.
Yeah,
and if y'all know, I love some evidence.
Yeah,
we are not alone.
Yeah, there's already a video of the of some of the scientists putting some of the aliens under a microscope and looking at their DNA and all that stuff. So you can find that on YouTube right now. So it's in Spanish, but it's still pretty cool.
Oh my God, I forget that people don't speak Spanish.
Well, we're here. That's what we're here for.
We're here to inform you.
Let me tell you guys, here in the United States, like, Spanish is something you need to learn because it, like, rules about half of the country. I mean, half of the world, sorry. You go to Spain, you go to any of the Americas, is Spanish.
Yeah, and then when you go to a Mexican restaurant, you can say, "Dame las tortillas fresca."
Taco.
Y un pulque, por favor.
Wow.
Oh man, I was just.
But no, but you're right. Like, I don't know. I want people to. What I want people to take away from what we're talking about today is that religion is not that far-fetched from believing in aliens. Like, it's really almost the same fucking thing, you know? And like, don't discredit us just how you don't want to be discredited either with your beliefs. And so,
I mean, could that be why like people want to debunk it? Because people are so into their religions that if they were to,
Yep.
if there was something like an alien, that would
Yep.
throw the whole concept
Yes.
of religion
yes.
out of
Yep.
whack. It's just like,
Uh-huh.
well, where do you place this then? You know,
Because
so
they literally see it as a like verbatim, whereas creation stories, and I don't know if you ever heard of Joseph Campbell. Have you ever heard of
Sounds
Yeah,
familiar.
the-
Keep going.
Joseph Campbell, the hero's journey.
Oh, yes.
Yes. So Joseph Campbell studied religions, and what he said is just that creation stories is just a way that the old cultures explained the reality. It was never meant to be taken verbatim. Never. There was never like. This was just a way to explain the reality
The
that they were living
metaphors.
in. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you literally said it. The metaphors.
Yeah.
It was never supposed to be. And so that's what I'm saying. The reason why we are in the situation we are in now is because everybody in each religion thinks that they are correct. And it's like, no, this was supposed to be metaphors.
Yeah. Like Adam and Eve.
You are fighting for shit that is not real. It's
Yeah.
supposed to be metaphors to explain to the people of that time before we had science how your world worked, you know, and it is not to be taken verbatim. And so unfortunately the state that we are in is because it was taken verbatim, but
Yeah.
it shouldn't. But anyway, this is why I love Joseph Campbell,
Yeah.
because he literally said this, you know.
Yeah. Well, if a religion teaches you how to hate and divide and kill, then
Oh my
you really
God.
you gotta question that religion.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
you gotta- it's like,
yes.
yeah.
And then I was just watching documentaries about like people who fall into, ¿cómo se llaman? Cults.
Yeah.
Cults. And we literally had this conversation. Like, if a religion tells you not to get the police involved when you're being abused,
Yeah.
then that is key factor that you're probably in a cult.
Yeah.
You know, and because no, but we were talking about
true.
this in another episode because
Yeah.
I had just watched this shit and I was so like, how does a religion tell you when you're being abused? Because we were talking about the dude that got 30 years in jail.
The
¿Cómo se llama?
70s show.
The
Remember
70s
what's
shows
his name?
guy.
Oh, yeah. The
Yeah.
rapist.
The
Huh,
rapist.
Yeah, the rapist.
Yeah.
And so, but
boy.
the girls
Yeah.
came out later because they were part of, what is that religion called?
Scientology.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Scientology. And their
Danny
religion
Masterson.
told them not to involve the police.
Yeah.
And like, what kind of religion allows you to be raped
Yeah.
and tell you not to, like, it's okay?
Yeah.
It's okay? How? What? Like, so in my mind, it's like it made me go into like shock. Like,
Well, here's something.
sparks went flying in my
Yeah.
head, was just not computing.
You're not the only person, because the majority of younger people in the United States are not going to church. And they're not going to church because they don't like God and because of music. They don't like church because they're seeing the same thing that you see. And they're like, man. Yeah.
The point, once again, is how the fuck you believe in that shit and not believe in aliens. Que pinche palo.
Wow.
Very roundabout way to go.
Well, I'm going to try to get an alien to come on the show when we can all discuss it with the alien.
Yes.
Jose Rodriguez from Pacoima. That's a bad joke.
No offense to Jose Rodriguez.
And so the reason why we're having this follow-up is because
Oscar
literally is the one who started this whole fucking conversation, which we had in our last episode. And we just wanted to get his input on,
His thoughts.
yeah, like he's the guy to talk to about these kind of issues.
You're like,
Which,
what?
I
Wait a
mean,
second.
me personally, I've never experienced anything like this, or even
The paranormal. You've
No, I normally have dreams.
Oh, okay.
So I am more, I dream. So I can dream future, I can dream past, I can dream into other people's
Can
lives.
you channel?
What do you mean channel?
There's this wonderful documentary about people that can channel themselves at a particular place. It's almost like hypnosis, and you give them the coordinates, and they can go there.
Oh my God.
And, yeah.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I haven't done like
Well-
given a particular coordinate.
Yeah.
But
Remote viewing.
Yeah.
No, but I have written, like I have journals of
Yeah.
my dreams because they're so
Oh,
bizarre.
cool. Nice.
And where I am like a little boy in fucking Curacao, or I was a woman in El Salvador that was a teacher, and she was a kindergarten teacher in during the like 60s, and they came to steal the boys, and she let all the children free, and she was tortured to death. And so literally, so I can literally plug myself into different people, but I'm not giving coordinates.
Well, no,
I just, I don't know how.
Maybe. Well,
I don't
mean,
know how.
Yeah, there's a
but
lot.
I literally just plug myself into, sometimes I am not me, I am other people.
Can
and
you,
then,
so you can't control where you go?
no.
Okay. What's the one person or event that has the most detail?
Okay. I always have recurring dreams where literally I have a dream, and then, you know, maybe a week later, I start where I left off.
Okay, cool.
So, but it's normally,
Yeah, because what I want you to do later on is try to get dates, names on your dreams. Sometimes I can control my dreams, sometimes I can't. But you should
Well,
start getting.
okay.
And you're smart for writing it down. But
Yes.
maybe later on, maybe you could find out that if there's more to it.
because sometimes I can read numbers,
Yeah.
but sometimes I cannot. In some dreams, I can read, and in some, like I'm looking at it,
Yeah.
but it looks like it's moving.
Yeah.
So I can't read it.
So yeah, the question is: are you seeing something that was there, or that was you, or that's ongoing, or that needs your help?
It's okay. So I've
Right.
had literally where I'm literally projecting into somebody's past life, and I'm reliving their past life. Like that person's dead already. Then I've had dreams where I am living something, and then later, years later, I live it. And I've written it down. That's how I know.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm like, what the fuck? How do I dream this? I never knew I was going to come to the United States.
Yeah.
How the fuck would I know that I was going to have food at this
Yeah.
Japanese restaurant in downtown LA?
Okay.
You know, how? When I was still living in Mexico, I
Yeah.
had this dream. And then I immigrate to Los Angeles, and then I go to this, and then, because I was like, where the fuck are you going to have an elevator in the middle of a Japanese garden, Japanese garden? And I go like this, boop, and then I'm like, and I was thinking, wow, why is there an elevator in the middle of a Japanese garden?
Yeah.
You know why? Then I immigrated to the United States. Then, you know, I live in the foster group home, and if I got all A's in my classes, my counselors would take me to any restaurant I wanted.
All right.
And I've been always a bougie bitch. So I
went to sushi.
always go to the
Sushi.
most expensive restaurants. So I went to the Otani in downtown LA.
Yeah.
So we go up, you know, you walk across the patio, which is a Japanese garden. We ate, but on the way back, I'm walking through a Japanese garden, and then I go and press the button for the elevator, which is, I dreamt this when I was living in Mexico and I was in elementary school.
Yeah.
So how the fuck do I have this dream?
Yeah, maybe one last thing. Maybe it's not supernatural. Maybe is that you perceive time differently from everybody else. Yeah. So maybe you know, we all perceive time linear, and you don't. You have everything all happening all at once. That you could see it all in a big ball. And
But how do I become a different person? Because I was a little boy, and I actually reread a story because, you know, I told you I write things down. And then I was reading the story from like, it was 10 years ago. And I was like, I don't fucking remember it. I'm like, did I write this? And I'm reading the whole fucking, and it's like a short story, like a
Yeah.
scary short story.
Dude.
And I was like so intrigued.
yeah.
And then I read the last sentence, and I was like, oh fuck, I remember the last sentence.
Yeah.
I have like a little, your dreams se te olvidan.
Yeah.
But
All the time.
I was a little boy
Yeah.
in Curaçao.
Yeah.
And I speak different languages in my dreams sometimes.
Yeah. Well,
So, like,
Yeah.
how is this possible?
we'll
We're
find
gonna
out.
have to bring on
A
Somebody-
cleanser?
no someone that deals in dreams and that kind of there's other mysteries to be solved and had.
So many unknowns. Yeah. When next time you have a dream like that and there's numbers and there's names, write it down.
Okay.
And then later on you have
Well,
something
I was
to
just curious
research.
as to what you wanted to say in terms of, like, how you're saying, can you redirect? What did you mean by that? Like,
There was an experiment in a group of people that worked for the CIA that can channel themselves anywhere, present, past, and future. And all they have to do is they're under a form of hypnotism.
Whoa.
I will send you the video, actually.
I can't be, I don't want
and
to.
It's a 3 or 4 part video, and then they can go back in time and see something happen, or they can go into the future and see something happen, or they can go somewhere specific by giving them the coordinates to see what's going on in that particular area. And it's a 3 or 4 part documentary, and the ending is when they go to Mars and they channel themselves like years back. And it's really fascinating, and it's really out there. Do you put the links on
Yes,
all right.
please.
All right, I'll send it to you if you could put the link
Yes,
for the
yes,
people to
yes.
watch.
We'll
but
put the links
it's
on
a wonderful documentary.
Dude,
It
I
just
am
blew my mind.
fucking curious.
Oh yeah.
However, like, I know you haven't heard our previous
She
recordings.
doesn't like
Yeah,
don't
I
worry.
am super anti-hypnotism
Yeah.
because I have a fear of mind control.
Yeah.
And also, you
Pennywise.
can suggest things to a person that can be detrimental, and
Yeah.
the hypnotist
Yes.
may not be experienced enough and can cause you damage.
Yes,
And
yeah.
and I can't. I'm
Yeah.
already mentally fucked up
Yeah,
already.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't
I don't
need
want you to
anybody
get- yeah.
scrambling my brain any
I don't
further
want you
than
to get-
already is.
Yeah, I don't want
You know
to
what
get-
I mean? Like,
no, I don't want to get hypnotized.
No.
But I definitely want you. I definitely watch this and maybe.
It's not going to hypnotize you. It's you're watching it on hypnotism.
whoa.
Oh,
No, pero lo que estoy diciendo is that I am not willing to be hypnotized.
Yeah.
Good.
So if I
yeah.
can do, do
Well,
meditation.
Yeah.
So meditation
It
is
could be
a
meditation.
self-hypnosis.
It could be a
thing.
meditation. Yeah, because he says it.
Self-hypnosis.
Yeah, and then what they have the subject has his eyes closed, and then all of a sudden you give him directions, and then they go there, and it's wonderful. The documentary, 4 part, and
I am so salivating to
Yeah.
watch this
Wow.
shit.
yeah.
There's a lot of stuff to talk about, but
Taco.
Too much.
Yeah.
talk about it.
But we'll talk about it in the next episode.
Yeah, put it on there.
We'll
I
have
think-
Oscar back. and-
Yeah, so apparently Oscar is gonna be like one of our regulars because this guy has a lot to talk about. Taco about
Talk about it.
tacos,
let's see
tacos,
what happened.
tacos.
She'll explain later on what that means.
Yeah, exactly. Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining us, and sorry that we talked for so long.
This is
But,
Rich Mo.
But we have an editor, so he'll edit it down.
Yeah.
It'll be only this episode will be only 5 minutes.
Woof.
Oh my son.
And this is Lala and
Oscar.
And we'll see you next time on whathahappen.com. If you guys have any questions, stories, or anything, any comments you want to make for any of our guests, or if you have any questions on anything else,
please email us.
at whathahappen.com.
Yes, get at us.
Assalamu
please. Hasta luego. Ciao.
Bye-bye.
To follow us, you can go to whathahappen.com for a link to all of our social media and to read our bios.
If you would like us to read your story,
May it be funny or scary or just some hot cheese mix.
please email us at stories@whathahappen.com.